Well, welcome back to the 22nd annual Wild and Scenic Film Festival right here in Nevada City. I'm your host, Kimberly Ewing, and it's been such a pleasure. I'm meeting such important people doing great work for the environment, social justice, and we have someone here talking turkey. We have Sean Grasso.
Yep.
And his movie is called Valley of the Turkeys. And so welcome to the Wild and Scenic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here.
Is this your first time, Sean?
Yeah, first time here.
Okay.
And my film screened earlier today, and it's screening later today. But
you get two.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Wow.
really lucky that way. But the first screening went really well, so
Great.
I'm excited for the second.
Were
screening.
you there for the talkback questions, or
Yeah. So it's programmed as like a family film, and so there were a ton of kids in the audience,
I love
and
that.
we got some great questions just from the kids. A lot of questions about the turkeys. So
I know, right?
Yeah.
They always love the toms.
That's where most people are attracted to because they have that beautiful display, right?
Right.
But the film I made is actually a lot more about the hens.
I know.
And their journey raising their little poults, which are the baby turkeys.
I know, and they call them poults.
Yeah.
And what I remember from the film, I mean, it's in, you said, Southern California mountains.
Yep. In San Diego County, just like east of the city. Once you get into the hills there, it gets kind of remote. And
Tell me, why turkeys?
I knew I wanted to make a wildlife film. It was during COVID, and I just always had this dream I've been a documentary filmmaker for 12 years now, and I had a passion for the outdoors, and I always knew I wanted to incorporate that passion with filmmaking and the outdoors at some point.
Yeah.
And so during COVID, I had this extra time when there wasn't too much other filmmaking work to really explore that. And so I set out on this journey of trying to film wildlife, and quickly discovered that it is very hard.
I know you had some camera traps, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Or a few things.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I was, kind of hitting my head against the wall, you could say, just trying to film wildlife and really not seeing that much. And suddenly I get this call from my neighbor who happened to find out through the grapevine that I was trying to make a wildlife film. And he was like, hey, there's these turkeys who are going crazy at my property right now, and you should come down here and film them. And so I thought he was crazy at the time, because I was like, I didn't know much about turkeys.
Yeah.
I kind of just assumed they were, not the most exciting species. But then I went out, set up a blind, and started filming them. And I just fell in love after that first day of being in the blind, filming with a long telephoto lens, and they were in the middle of their mating display. And it was just, it was something special.
So you captured them right at the action time of their lives, of mating and dancing and doing all those things.
It was sort of a novice mistake at the time, but I set up my blind right in between where they usually do their mating dance, and then right where they roost. And so every night they they fly into the trees and roost up above the predators, safe up there. And I didn't realize that I was right in their path. And so that first night when I was out there, they just surrounded my blind, and they all went up into the trees right as the sun was setting.
Ooh.
And it was just, that sonic experience of 25 turkeys all just lifting up around you. And that kind of kept me coming back every day.
Right. You were right in their magic.
Yeah,
capturing
exactly.
it.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of a 5-6 month journey of me following this one flock of turkeys and trying to create essentially a wildlife behavior film around this flock of turkeys.
Yeah, and the one that you follow, it tugs at the audience too when I watched it, because the statistics are not great with the hens and their poults.
Yeah.
It's like 1 in 4 survive?
Exactly, yeah. So every season when a hen goes to lay its eggs, there's something like a 25% success rate in terms of the hens who actually at least birth one chick, or one poult, I should say. And so a lot of these hens are laying eggs, and they have to incubate them for 28 days. And so a lot of them succumb to different forces, whether it's the weather or predators, and it ends up being a real challenge for a lot of them. And like I said, only a quarter of them end up successfully hatching those little ones.
I know,
Yeah.
right. And when you talk about, what our theme this year, Sean, is real action. And so how or why did you submit to the Wild and Scenic for this film?
Well, I think what's important about the turkey film that I made is really, there are species that a lot of us in the U.S. are familiar with. A lot of us have seen wild turkeys around us, and it's one of those animals that, just like maybe mule deer or what have you, you don't think twice about them. They're not that lion on the savannah that we see in the wildlife films. They're not the elephant. They're not one of these iconic species that oftentimes we associate with wildlife films. And so I thought for this film, and why I wanted to submit it here, was that really my goal with the film was to create empathy with the audience for the day-to-day wildlife that we find around us in our backyards. These creatures that we experience every day, and we don't necessarily see their struggle to survive. And so with the turkey, it's really this species who you'll see them on the roads, you see them just on the forest edge, but then they disappear into the woods, and you don't really catch a glimpse at what they have to go through. And so for me, it was about trying to spur some empathy in the audience to say, hey, all these animals are out here, and they definitely have to go through quite a bit of struggle just to get where you see them on the side of the road. And
That's
so
right.
just kind of, my idea was to extend that sort of sense of, that all the animals around us are, go through something to survive.
And they all matter.
Yeah.
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 And it's true. We have wild turkeys here, and that's the funny part of this area is you'll see them. But you're right. If you could take a different look and say they still have a hard life and they don't have all their poults that come out, it's
Sure.
like you give that sense of awareness.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I will say turkeys do the severity of the difficulty of their life varies based on a regional aspect.
Sure.
So in the more suburban areas, you'll see them really become a nuisance almost.
Well, they are quite the pluckers, or whatever they do with their feet. They are
scratching,
destructive a little bit.
Yeah, so you'll see if you look on YouTube or go online anywhere, you can find a lot of people who are angry with wild turkeys. And I kind of wasn't aware of that when I made the film. I was a little bit insulated in that remote valley of San Diego. So it's interesting to see just. The turkey is definitely a controversial bird.
Well, it's one of our neighbors, and it's like we need to be respectful of all of our neighbors, right?
Yeah.
So how about we're wrapping it up, but what's next for you? Because you are a professional, so.
Yeah, so I'm working on a film right now that's it's got a lot of different factors, but it focuses mostly on this one particular area of Oregon called the McDermott Caldera. It actually extends into Nevada, so it's just at the border with Oregon and Nevada. And I'm making a film about there's a lithium mine that's potentially being explored in that area, and it brings up these questions about how we transition off of fossil fuels while still protecting biodiversity. And so looking at, if we want to secure, minerals and resources for our transition off of fossil fuels, how to do that in the best way possible. But the film really looks at just the community surrounding the McDermott Caldera and their response to this proposed lithium mine, and also the ecosystem, and how we sort of weigh these complex decisions that we have to make as we transition off of fossil fuels.
Well, it sounds like another really important film. Will you maybe come back to the Wild and Scenic?
I'd
if
love
possible?
to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to. So
Well,
definitely
great.
plan a festival submission for that film. So
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
You're listening to the Media Lounge here at the Wild and Scenic. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll be back soon.